Jamal Warner, best known and beloved for
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the face everyone knew as Theo Huxtable, America's eldest son, was gone in an instant. On July 20th, 2025, Hollywood was shaken to its core when news broke that Warner had drowned while on a trip to Costa Rica. Headlines exploded everywhere. Fans were stunned and the grief was overwhelming, but the real shock didn't hit until after his funeral, when a secret archive he had kept locked away for years was finally cracked open. What was inside wasn't just random props or keepsakes. It was a vault of hidden truths. Private family photos never seen before, raw handwritten letters, and chilling little clues that painted a picture far different from the perfect Hollywood star the world thought they knew. And buried deep inside those archives was a revelation so explosive, people are now questioning everything they ever believed about him. From the streets of Jersey City to one of the most iconic roles in TV history, Malcolm's rise had always been told as a golden success story.
What I saw was fun, never anything inappropriate. What I saw was work and play at work and fun. Mrs. Cosby was a frequent visitor to the studio. She was there a lot. That's what I saw.
But these uncovered files revealed the real roots of his journey, not just as an actor, but as a symbol of survival, strength, and grit born from struggle. Malcolm-Jamal Warner entered this world on August 18, 1970, in the middle of America's storm of cultural and social change. Even his name carried a powerful weight. Malcolm, after Malcolm X, the fearless civil rights leader, and Jamal, honoring jazz genius Ahmad Jamal. From the start, his destiny seemed written. Strength fused with artistry, revolution laced with rhythm. At the center of it all was his mother, Pamela Warner, the backbone of his life. After splitting from his father, she raised Malcolm on her own, juggling survival while chasing something bigger for her son. She wasn't just a mom, she was his anchor, his biggest believer, and even his first manager. She spotted his spark early on, watching a little Malcolm, only 7 or 8 years old, already lighting up the room with raw talent that would soon capture the entire nation's heart. From day one, Malcolm wasn't just some kid glued to the TV. He was dissecting it. He'd spend hours in front of the mirror, imitating characters, reciting lines word for word, like he already knew the screen was his destiny. Pamela, his mom, spotted the spark instantly, signing him up for acting classes, then pushing him into New York's elite professional children's school, the same place that churned out future stars.
I had a personal stake in his success. Every time he did something, it made me feel inspired and really good. And he was always real nice to me. He'd sit me down, "What's going on with you, baby boy? What? We'd talk about comedy, whatever."
By 1979, at just 9 years old, Malcolm was already stacking credits. Children's theater, commercials, any stage or screen that would have him. He mastered the art of locking eyes with the camera without flinching, twisting his voice to fit any role, sharpening the very tools that would one day land him a role nobody else could touch. That chance came in 1984. NBC was on the hunt for the perfect kid to play Theo Huxtable in a brand new sitcom, The Cosby Show. More than 200 hopefuls lined up, but 13-year-old Malcolm walked in and snatched the role like it was written just for him. Overnight, he transformed into America's eldest son, goofy, relatable, and a shining symbol of Black excellence on primetime TV. The impact was instant. The show rocketed to #1 on the Nielsen charts, taking over family living rooms across the country. Malcolm's spotlight only blazed hotter. By 1986, just 16 years old, he scored an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actor, unheard of for someone still juggling homework. But behind the glitz, there was a grind. 39 weeks a year trapped on set, flipping between school books and scripts without pause. Still, Malcolm refused to let the fame box him in. When the camera shut off, he was sneaking into smoky New York jazz clubs, soaking up game from legends, learning bass, and vibing with jazz, funk, and R&B. His teen years became a double life. One part Jersey kid, one part Hollywood star, always grounded by his mom's constant reminder, don't let the spotlight blind you. Remember who you are and where you come from.
How does it feel, this sudden stardom?
It's great. I mean, it was nothing I was expecting. You know, you think for a long time about how you win a series, and you never really expect it to be a big success. But no one knew it would be this big.
Those words were Malcolm's armor, while so many other child stars collapsed under the weight of fame. And when that secret archive was finally cracked open, proof of his foundation spilled out everywhere. A photo of little Malcolm gripping a bass guitar almost bigger than his body. A faded ticket stub from an Ahmad Jamal concert in 1982 that his mom made sure he witnessed. And a scribbled note Pamela tucked in his pocket before the audition that changed his life in 1984. No matter the outcome, you've already made me proud. From Jersey City beginnings in 1970, Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't just step into America's living rooms as Theo Huxtable. He walked into millions of people's childhoods. But these keepsakes weren't just sentimental relics. They revealed why his legacy still cuts deep today. Because his rise wasn't built on luck. It was grit, discipline, and a mother's relentless mission to make sure Hollywood didn't swallow her son whole. The true turning point was 1984, the year Malcolm became the beating heart of The Cosby Show. For 8 straight seasons, from September 20th, 1984, to April 30th, 1992, he lived as Theo right in front of the world. That's 197 episodes, 8 years, and endless colorful sweaters. While the sitcom shattered records, dominated Nielsen charts, and rewrote TV history, audiences literally watched him grow up, from clumsy middle schooler to young adult, every milestone preserved forever on screen. But fame came with a trap. On one side, Theo Huxtable made Malcolm a household name, brought him financial stability, and even scored him an Emmy nomination at just 16. On the other side, it boxed him in. Malcolm saw the danger. The longer he breathed as Theo, the harder it would be to break free from that shadow. 8 years of embodying one character meant the world might never accept him as anyone else. And while fans adored the image, behind the curtain, Malcolm was already plotting his escape, determined not to be chained forever as just America's eldest son. That's why, even in the peak madness of The Cosby Show, Malcolm wasn't satisfied with just being Theo. While the world locked him into the Huxtable box, he was already flipping the script, directing episodes, hosting youth specials, and grabbing any project that proved he wasn't a one-trick star. It was his way of shouting, "I won't be trapped in one role." So when the series wrapped in 1992, most people assumed he'd coast on that fame forever, but not Malcolm. He flipped the game again. By 1996, he re-emerged with a brand new identity in the sitcom Malcolm and Eddie, alongside the wild energy of Eddie Griffin. For 4 seasons, from 96 to 2000, their sharp comedic chemistry kept audiences locked in every week. And Malcolm wasn't just cracking jokes. He was calling shots behind the camera too, showing his eye for timing, rhythm, and storytelling like a natural-born director. But Malcolm wasn't built to stay chained to just comedy. The 2000s let his dramatic side loose, from the sci-fi edge of Jeremiah, 2002 to 2004, to family struggles in Read Between the Lines, 2011, to intense turns in crime dramas like Major Crimes, 2015. Each role peeled away Theo's shadow, carving out the kind of range Hollywood never expected him to pull off. And then came his other lifelong obsession, music. From the time he was a kid, the bass guitar was his weapon of choice, and with his band Miles Long, he dove deep into jazz, funk, and spoken word. He dropped albums, hit stages, and earned recognition in a lane where most actors failed to cross over. Then in 2015, he shocked the industry, teaming up with Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway to snag a Grammy for Best Traditional R&B Performance with Jesus Children. That wasn't just a side hustle win. That was Malcolm proving he wasn't an actor who dabbled in music, but a serious musician, respected and validated by the best in the game. Malcolm's TV grind never slowed down. By 2018, he was back commanding the screen, this time as Dr. A.J. Austin on Fox's The Resident, a sharp-tongued, no-nonsense surgeon who was the total opposite of sweet, awkward Theo Huxtable. That role slammed the door on old stereotypes and introduced a whole new generation to a rebranded Malcolm-Jamal Warner. No longer boxed in, but thriving as actor, director, producer, musician, and even podcaster. He wasn't just surviving Hollywood, he was flipping it on its head. Then came another twist. By 2024, Malcolm found yet another stage, his own podcast, where he spoke raw and unfiltered about culture, art, and the state of the world. Fans tuned in for truth, not sound bites. But the most chilling detail came with his final upload. An episode posted to Instagram on July 18, 2025, just 2 days before his tragic death. That page has now turned into a digital shrine covered in tributes, heartbreak, and disbelief pouring in from all corners of the globe. Across 4 decades, Malcolm didn't just dodge the so-called child star curse. He smashed it to pieces. Over 30 film and TV credits, Emmy nods, directing gigs, full albums, a Grammy win, and a reputation that made him one of Hollywood's most versatile players. From Theo Huxtable to Dr. A.J. Austin, from sitcom stages to R&B stages, his career wasn't about survival. It was about constant reinvention. And that secret archive, it tells the story with receipts, literally. Inside were old contracts, rare behind-the-scenes snapshots from Malcolm and Eddie, even the Grammy ticket from his 2015 win. Each artifact exposed the grind, the highs, and the heartbreak that shaped his path. Proof that nothing came easy, yet he made it all look effortless. But the secrets in that archive didn't stop at emotional keepsakes. They exposed just how much Malcolm had been quietly building. Behind the spotlight, he had stacked up a financial empire that left fans stunned. By 2025, his net worth was estimated at around $6 million. Money earned not from scandals or cheap stunts, but from 4 decades of steady grind in film, TV, and music. Back in the Cosby Show era, his paychecks climbed season after season as the show ruled Nielsen charts. With 197 episodes aired between 1984 and 1992, Malcolm had secured the kind of financial foundation most child stars could only dream of. And unlike so many of his peers, he never blew it away. The Cosby Show didn't just hand him fame, it gave him stability. Those paychecks became the launch pad for his future, fueling the projects he truly cared about. And when the sitcom finally wrapped, the money didn't vanish. He locked in major contracts with Malcolm and Eddie, Read Between the Lines, The Resident, and more. On top of that, reruns and streaming deals kept funneling royalties straight to him, a steady stream of cash long after the cameras stopped rolling. Music turned into another major money lane, and Malcolm knew how to work it. His albums with his band Miles Long, plus live gigs, kept income flowing. But the real payday hit in 2015 when he teamed up with Robert Glasper and Layla Hathaway. That Grammy win wasn't just a golden statue, it supercharged his performance fees, sealing his reputation as a true musician, respected by the industry's elite. Inside the archive, that financial legacy was laid out like a blueprint. Yellowed studio contracts, old pay stubs, even property deeds tied to his Los Angeles home, and a tucked-away East Coast apartment where he could disappear when Hollywood heat got too heavy. And insiders whispered about even more: side investments in indie films and grassroots art programs. Proof Malcolm wasn't just chasing checks. He was planting seeds to leave something lasting behind. What stunned fans the most wasn't just what Malcolm earned, it was how he lived. Despite millions in the bank, there were no tabloid photos of flashy mansions, no garage stuffed with luxury cars, no champagne-soaked nights in Hollywood clubs. Malcolm kept it low-key, private, focused on his craft and the people closest to him. That discipline made him stand out, especially for someone who had been famous since his teens. But then came the revelation nobody saw coming. Buried inside those financial papers was a hidden chapter, one he had fought hard to keep off the radar. A secret wife, a child the public never knew existed. Suddenly, the archive wasn't just career memorabilia. It was a bombshell about the private life Malcolm shielded from the world while carrying Hollywood's crushing expectations on his back. Page by page, the archive painted the portrait of a man far more layered than the public image ever allowed. Wedged between studio contracts, scribbled lyrics, and behind-the-scenes snapshots was the truth Malcolm never intended for cameras to capture. His life had been a balancing act, giving the industry just enough to keep his career alive, while guarding the rest with iron walls. His family, his battles, and the moments when pressure nearly pushed him over the edge. These weren't cheap scandals. They were choices, values, a code of silence he lived by. Malcolm had drawn a firm line between stage and real life, refusing to let the spotlight devour his world. And at the core of that silence sat his most protected secret, a hidden marriage. The story began back in 2015, when Malcolm was introduced through a mutual friend to a lawyer living quietly in Connecticut. No Hollywood hype, no strategic pairing, Just two people building trust brick by brick. Over time, friendship turned into something deeper. On his podcast, Hot and Bothered, Malcolm once admitted, "I laid it all out, told her everything. Then one day I asked, 'What do you think about getting married?' That wasn't a stunt for headlines. It was a rare crack in his armor, a glimpse of the heart he kept hidden from the world." By 2016 or 2017, Malcolm and his partner had tied the knot in total secrecy. No press release, no glossy wedding spreads, no social media bragging. For him, it wasn't about dodging paparazzi games. It was about giving his family the one thing Hollywood could never sell: a normal, private life. Then came July 2nd, 2017, the day his daughter was born. Malcolm quietly posted a single black and white photo of himself holding his newborn with the caption, "Peaceful time with family takes on a whole new meaning." That was one of the rarest glimpses into the world he had fought to shield for decades. A moment so pure, so simple, now carrying heartbreaking weight after his sudden passing. Once married, Malcolm locked his family life away like it was sacred treasure. Every so often he'd drop hints, a cozy weekend at home, or the value of teaching his daughter by showing up and being present. But never names, never faces. For a man who had lived under blinding lights since 1984, when he first stepped on set as Theo Huxtable, that silence wasn't out of shyness. It was strategy. His family was untouchable, no exceptions. But before settling down, Malcolm's love life had been marked by headlines and heartbreak. His first great love was Michelle Thomas, his Cosby Show co-star who played Justine Phillips. The two dated from 1988 into the early 90s, staying close even after parting ways. When Michelle tragically passed from stomach cancer in 1998, Malcolm never left her side. Years later, he poured his grief into Instagram, writing, "If there was ever an angel who walked amongst us mere mortals, this woman was it." That wasn't nostalgia. It was raw pain carved into words. After Michelle came another Cosby Show alum, Karen Melina White. From 2000 to 2007, they shared a steady 7-year relationship that constantly stirred marriage rumors. Karen shut it down, insisting it was a deep love, but one without paperwork or vows. Still, their bond was strong enough to keep them in the headlines for nearly a decade. His last relationship before settling down was also his most high profile, with Oscar winner Regina King. Though they'd known each other since the 80s, romance didn't spark until 2011. For a while, they were Hollywood's golden couple, even sharing a home together. But on Valentine's Day 2013, it all imploded. Regina later admitted she was blindsided. One day deeply in love, the next everything over. Warner sent her flowers with the note, "I still love you." But Regina, crushed by the breakup, tossed them straight into the trash. She confessed publicly that she was heartbroken. And Malcolm, true to his style, he stayed silent. No interviews, no messy headlines, no explanations, just silence. Looking back now, that silence feels like his rule of survival. Malcolm ended relationships with dignity, never letting them spiral into cheap tabloid fodder. But behind the quiet, the pressure was suffocating. He later admitted there were times he hated playing Theo, proof that even while he carried America's love, he was fighting private battles no one else could see. Malcolm's deepest fear wasn't failing on screen. It was being locked inside Theo's shadow forever. With 197 episodes airing between 1984 and 1992, The Cosby Show had cemented him as America's big brother. But that image became a cage, threatening to smother every new role he tried to take on. Instead of complaining, Malcolm fought back through work. He directed episodes of The Cosby Show itself, reinvented himself in Malcolm and Eddie from 1996 to 2000, and later dove into dramatic turns in Read Between the Lines, Major Crimes, and finally, as the razor-sharp Dr. A.J. Austin on The Resident starting in 2018, a character worlds away from Theo, living proof he had broken free. But then came the earthquake that shook Hollywood, the Bill Cosby scandal. The once beloved Huxtable family image shattered, tainted in ways no one could repair. Malcolm had no ties to the crimes, yet he couldn't escape the ripple effect. In one interview, he admitted, "It's heartbreaking to see something once so pure in people's hearts become tarnished." And still, he refused to ride the media wave. No crusades, no outbursts, He let his art speak, pouring his pain and frustration into his music instead. Music had always been Malcolm's sanctuary. Whether on bass with his band Miles Long or vibing in collaborations, he found a freedom the cameras could never touch. The high point came in 2015 when he joined forces with Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway to win a Grammy for Jesus Children. That win wasn't about nostalgia. It was Malcolm proving to the industry he wasn't some child star dabbling in music, but a real artist whose peers respected him at the highest level. And under the constant weight of fame, Malcolm built his own survival code. Rule number 1, control the narrative. In interviews, he poured his heart into talking about art and creativity. But when family came up, he kept it airtight. Always my wife, always my daughter, never names, never details. Rule number 2, protect his rhythm. While shooting The Resident, he made sure weekends were strictly family time. No pointless press runs, no red carpet overload. It was his armor against the fame that once nearly ate him alive. The final layer of his defense became crystal clear in 2024 when he launched his podcast, Not All Hood. For the first time, he was in total control, speaking unfiltered about culture, art, and society without the media twisting his words. It wasn't polished Hollywood spin, it was pure Malcolm, raw and honest. But then came the chilling twist. On July 18th, 2025, he uploaded a brand new episode on Instagram. Just 2 days later, everything collapsed. On July 20th, 2025, tragedy struck. Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned at Playa Coco Beach in Costa Rica at just 54 years old. What was meant to be a quiet family trip turned into heartbreak. His daughter was rescued in time, but Malcolm was trapped in a rip current that refused to let him go. His death came sudden, brutal, and devastating. Fans were left reeling, and Hollywood itself went silent. And when the curtain of privacy finally dropped for good, the truth hit hard. The secrets Malcolm kept weren't gimmicks or games. They were shields. Shields to protect his family from the suffocating spotlight. Shields to guard his past loves with dignity instead of drama. Shields to carve out space to breathe in an industry that devours people alive. That's why when Malcolm's secret archive was unlocked, the discoveries cut so deep. The unseen family photos, the handwritten love letters to his wife, the scribbled notes reminding himself, protect what matters most. Don't let the spotlight blind you. These weren't souvenirs. They were proof of how he truly lived, a man fiercely guarding love and peace in an industry built on invasion. When the news broke, Costa Rica's national police confirmed the unthinkable. Warner had been on vacation with his wife and daughter along the Caribbean coast. Playa Coco looked like paradise. Clear waters, postcard-perfect views. But locals knew it for something darker, its deadly rip currents. And on that morning, those waters claimed him. America's eldest son, gone in an instant, leaving behind silence heavier than any role he ever played. The day had started beautifully. Blue skies, calm surf, the kind of weather that lulls you into thinking nothing could go wrong. Witnesses remembered Malcolm stepping into the water with his daughter, laughing, splashing, staying close to the shore. Then suddenly, everything flipped. A rip current tore through the calm, dragging them both out in seconds. Lifeguards and locals rushed in. His daughter was saved, pulled back to the sand. But Malcolm was carried farther and farther away. When rescuers finally reached him, his heart had already stopped. They worked frantically on the beach, then again on the way to the hospital. But nothing revived him. Hours later, the coroner confirmed the nightmare. Cause of death, drowning by asphyxiation. No foul play, no injuries. Just the ruthless grip of the ocean, silent and merciless. A family insider whispered that at least he went quickly without suffering. A small sliver of peace in an ocean of devastation. But the questions refused to fade. Fans asked how someone like Malcolm, once athletic, disciplined, still in solid shape at 54, couldn't break free from the current. Others pointed to the eerie timing. Just 2 days earlier, he was alive, vibrant, dropping his latest podcast episode, already mapping out future plans. How could life end so suddenly? How could everything vanish in seconds? Online, speculation exploded. Some whispered about hidden health struggles. Others latched onto the eerie timing of his secret archive being unlocked right after his death. Conspiracy forums lit up with wild claims, whispers that maybe Malcolm had been protecting something too powerful and that his drowning wasn't an accident at all. but his family fought to shut the noise down. His mother, Pamela Warner, released a statement cutting straight through the rumors. "My son passed away in an unexpected accident. There is no mystery beyond the grief of those left behind." Still, three facts couldn't be ignored: the sudden death, the unveiling of a secret archive, and a life so carefully hidden. Together, they made his final hours feel haunting. Not a crime mystery, but an emotional one that refuses to let go. How could a man so full of energy, planning new projects just days before, vanish beneath the waves in minutes? His funeral came quickly. A private ceremony in the U.S., far from cameras, attended only by family and a small circle of close friends. No media circus, no glossy spreads, just silence, tears, and memories of a man defined by warmth, loyalty to family, and a relentless grind that never stopped. But while the service stayed small, the digital tributes exploded worldwide. Malcolm's social media pages became memorials, covered in hundreds of thousands of messages, fans saying goodbye, sharing childhood memories tied to Theo Huxtable, posting clips, quotes, and photos from his decades on screen. For a moment, it seemed like closure had finally come. And then the archive cracked open again. Handwritten letters, intimate family photos, notes so personal they felt almost too raw to read. Instead of peace, they sparked fresh storms of speculation. The whispers only grew louder. What else had Malcolm been hiding? What truths were still buried in the shadows of his secret vault? Within days, the internet went into overdrive. YouTube deep dives, Reddit threads, and pop culture podcasts all rushed to dissect every detail. At first, the tone was grief, but that shifted fast, especially once word spread that his secret archive had been unlocked almost immediately after his funeral. One camp became convinced those files held bombshells about the Cosby Show, hidden stories from before and after the Bill Cosby scandal that Malcolm never dared to share in public. They latched on to his past comments about being heartbroken over how the Huxtable legacy had collapsed, speculating that maybe he left behind receipts or testimonies that could change the narrative forever. Another theory zoomed in on his private life. Since Malcolm kept his marriage and daughter off the radar, fans imagined the archive contained undeniable proof. Photos, letters, maybe even revelations that could rewrite everything the world thought they knew about him. Tabloid-style blogs poured gasoline on the fire, splashing blurry leaks and supposed documents from the archive across their headlines. But when people looked closer, none of it could be traced to any credible source. Still, the damage was already done. Speculation was running wild, and Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death was no longer seen as just a tragedy. It was being spun into a mystery. And then came the most explosive theory of all. Some insisted Malcolm had been preparing to release a tell-all documentary or memoir that would rip the curtain off Hollywood's darker secrets. To them, his sudden death felt way too convenient. Adding fuel was his podcast, Not All Hood, launched in 2024, where in recent episodes he hinted at untold stories he was ready to share. For conspiracy hunters, that was the smoking gun, the idea that Malcolm had been silenced before he could reveal the truth. But here's where that theory cracked. First, the official Costa Rican coroner's report left zero room for doubt. Cause of death: accidental drowning. No signs of a fight. No intoxicants in his system. Just the brutal force of nature. And second, his family, led by his mother, Pamela Warner, shut the speculation down hard, calling the rumors baseless and cruel, and insisting there was no hidden conspiracy behind his death, only heartbreak. Even seasoned investigative journalists jumped in to slice through the chaos. Outlets like People, AP News, and Variety dug through the story and confirmed what the archive really was. Nothing more than a collection of personal keepsakes. Family photos, handwritten love letters, old film contracts, scribbled music notes, memorabilia from his most iconic roles. No hidden bombshells, no smoking gun files waiting to bring Hollywood crashing down. But in today's world, rumors travel faster than facts. And once conspiracy theories take hold online, no correction ever fully reels them back in. For millions of fans, especially those who grew up with The Cosby Show, Malcolm wasn't just another actor. He was a piece of their childhood, a comforting figure woven into their lives. So when someone that deeply embedded in people's memories dies suddenly, grief has a way of twisting into disbelief. Clinging to wild theories becomes easier than accepting the hardest truth of all. He was really gone. In the end, the greatest mystery Malcolm-Jamal Warner left behind wasn't hidden inside a vault of files or whispers of untold stories. It was in the way he lived, deliberately, quietly, always protecting what mattered most. He rejected the circus of fame and instead built a legacy made of art, discipline, and love that stretched far beyond the spotlight. His death may have sparked wild rumors and questions, but maybe the answer was always in plain sight. Some truths aren't meant to be exposed. They're meant to be protected. Malcolm-Jamal Warner may be gone, but his legacy towers above just Theo Huxtable, above the music, above the awards. It's the message he carried his whole life. Love deeply, live kindly, and protect what matters most at all costs. From the bright lights of Hollywood to the quiet spaces he kept for himself, his story proved the most priceless treasures aren't the ones you show off. They're the ones you fight to keep safe. And that's why his story still lingers, not just about fame, but about strength, privacy, and the courage to live on your own terms. If you want to keep uncovering the real stories and hidden sides of the stars you thought you knew, hit that like button, drop a comment, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. The next story might just shock you even more, and you won't want to miss it.